Ladies and gentlemen, this is Sho Baraka, the Frederick Douglass with a fade right now we're talking to. I know you don't have that
Hey.
much time, so, so we will be real quick with this interview. So for the listeners, can you give us a brief origin of who you are?
Yes. Okay. Excellent. Well, I was born in Canada and lived in Louisiana for a short period of time. My father played professional football in Canada and with the New Orleans Saints. So
Okay.
that was the reason for the move from Canada to New Orleans. Then once he was done playing, my family moved to California, that's where I spent most of my life. Once I graduated high school, went to college in Alabama at Tuskegee University. And growing up, I had parents who were very passionate about issues of justice, issues of just basically understanding who we were as individuals, understanding and appreciating myself and my history. And when I got to college, that was partnered with coming to the faith through the influence of my brother. So now I had these worlds that at some part I felt like it collided and it conflicted with one another. This idea of loving myself and loving my history, as well as being a guy who loved Jesus and loved the faith. But it took me a while for me to realize that those two things didn't have to be mutually exclusive, that I could manage the understanding of the imago Dei of God creating us in his image, while at the same time not making it an idol. So loving who I was, loving how God made me, loving people, caring about issues of justice, because I believe that's a very biblical thing, and the Bible talks about that. But at the same time, not being ashamed of who I am, knowing my history and celebrating that. And now you have Sho Baraka. My name is Miss Sho Baraka, it's Swahili. So my parents gave us all Swahili names. Yeah, so
I'll call you Amish. I'm glad you corrected that.
Nah. So people just call me Sho for short because they would say stuff like I'm a Sho or Amisio or something. They're crazy stuff.
You actually asked one of my questions I had, so we're going to skip past that one. Let's go to your most recent project, The Narrative. Can you explain to us your whole concept behind the narrative? Because I see you have a lot of, looks like you had number of years on there.
Yep. That's to help give context to the song. I want the listener to be able to see a year and in some way, shape, or form, hopefully create a context clue for what is happening, why I'm writing this song, what this song has to do with that year, that context surrounding it. And I think that helps the listener. I think, one of the things I like to try to do is be innovative and creative from writing to the packaging. And I think that was just a part of me, a part of my attempt to give the consumer a journey with this project. And it's not just listening; it's from the point you look at the cover to the track listing to the actual album itself.
You seem to remix a lot of gospel hymns. What is the reason behind the remixing up? Because I think you use, I think it was Mahalia Jackson you used for one. Am I correct?
On this new album? No, I didn't.
No, sorry, like the Child and Temp. I'm talking about the last.
Oh,
one,
yeah,
previous,
yeah.
the previous one. Yeah. Sorry about that.
No, it's so that's not actually that's not a sample of her. That's actually actually a friend of mine who got in the studio and just kind of started hooping. And it's actually a male too. It's crazy. So he's talented. But I named the song after Mahalia because I wanted once again to kind of give this context and this idea of why I'm making this song. How do we honor people like Mahalia? And hopefully this song, this title helps give people an idea of how to listen to the song.
Okay. I recently wrote an article discussing Christian MCs because you're a walker of the faith, and I'm saying that they're not getting recognized as being great MCs only because of the fact they're using a heavy Christian background. You care to share your thoughts on that.
Just one more time. Do I care to share myself on
Just Christian MCs, because it seems like people will listen, and they'd be bobbing out to it. And the fact that you mentioned that they are, Christian MC, they kind of like throw it down a couple of scales because of the content.
Yeah, I think, man, we're in art, depending on how you feel. Certain people don't want to be called Christian MCs. Some people don't care. Some people do. I think we're all in an interesting paradigm in a sense that those people who consider themselves Christians and who want to do great art, sometimes we feel like we have to, like, it's an interesting dynamic. Like, sometimes we have to service a particular genre of people that expect certain presuppositions that come with the term Christian or gospel. And that hurts us because you can't fully express everything that you really want to express sometimes, because it's either it'll be labeled as harmful or it's labeled as worldly, or just talking about some of the real issues and struggles in your community. Some people may take offense to that and how you describe those things. But then on the other end, the reality is the world, or the mainstream world, the mainstream radio and movement and genre, they're not going to really accept this to the full degree, because there's a level of morality that we uphold to, and in talking about Jesus, it's kind of hard to be accepted within the mainstream circle without being labeled a Jesus rapper or a gospel rapper, or the Kirk Franklin of rap. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are the things that folks like Lecrae and and I'm nowhere near his level, but the things that I've heard expressed about me as well. And so I do think there's a struggle that we have as Christian rappers, but I do think there are dudes that I can name that are just as talented as anybody out there. You know what I mean? Who are on the Christian rap game.
That was my argument. Yeah, that was my argument when I wrote that article. Yeah, saying that people usually until you label that, they're like, no, it's not as good as the top MC right now. But I believe like these guys still have bars despite what they do, what they do with their lifestyle.
Oh no, you can't tell me that I know there's rappers better than me out there. Like, I'm not gonna act like I'm the best rapper ever, but you can't tell me there's 20 guys better than me.
Speaking on that subject, there was a bit of controversy with your new project with Lifeway pulling it out there. Please here to explain what happened to the listeners right now about that situation.
Well, yeah, I had a lyric, and this goes to some of the previous point of how we have to be very careful in how we communicate certain things we're passionate about. I had a song I have a song on my album called Piano Break, and on that song I say I was an insecure boy who just thought he was a genius but always pissed off. That's because I thought with my penis. And I talk about how my sexual ethic changed. And so Lifeway had some customers complain about that lyric. And so Lifeway, who is a Christian bookstore distribution, a Christian distribution, and they own bookstores, better yet, they removed the album from their shelves. And so there was a big brouhaha about it. Washington Post wrote an article about it. And I, for the most part, I realized why they remove albums. It's a shame that a line that's talking about, something that they would ultimately agree with, because I'm trying to teach that there are people out there who live their life for sexual pleasures, and that's no way to live your life. But then the other thing is I use the word penis, which is a biological term. So it's just like, I don't understand, like, what's the issue? And so, those are the types of things that I think when you talk about surviving within a Christian genre, you got to concern yourself about. And I hate that. And I feel like it paralyzes us. It's cheap. And if I had my druthers, I wouldn't be in it. But I recognize that's how I first was recognized. I sold my albums primarily to Christians and churches. This is my first album where I'm starting to move out of that genre, but I still have a lot of fans who grew up in youth groups and bought my albums because I performed at churches, and I'm not ashamed of that, and I appreciate that. But I also recognize that I'm a grown man. I have different issues in life than those people who would complain about me saying penis on a song. So
right.
It's just kind of like this struggle between both worlds that we're living in.
Yeah, I've seen you actually getting a lot more recognition because you did the South by Southwest this year. How was your experience with South by Southwest?
South by Southwest was fun. I mean, other than the fact I didn't go up on stage until about 1 o'clock in the morning. That was pretty whack.
Right.
But I was half asleep on stage. But it was cool. It was a good experience. It was my second time doing it, and the people who brought me on were great folks. I got to rock out with a band. It was in the middle of a tour that I'm doing called A Night with Sho Baraka. So I did Dallas, I did Austin, and I did Houston. So that was fun. It was fun, and I'm still doing it now.
Yeah, I really wanted to come to DC, man. Yeah, I really wanted to come to DC. I was looking at the dates. I was like, I can't get up here.
DC is probably gonna happen this summer though, for real.
Okay.
And so all the DC, Baltimore, Virginia, Maryland folks y'all gotta come through. So I'm pretty sure it's gonna happen sometime this summer.
So please keep me posted on that because I'm definitely going to that show. So this movie, we only got a couple questions left. So how do you feel about like the overall direction of hip hop today?
I mean, I don't really have an opinion in the sense that I feel like, and oftentimes people, when they speak of hip hop in its general context, they speak of it in the most popular form, like what's being played on the radio, what's being shown on, and I can't, like, I don't see hip hop in that because I exist in a genre of, or a subgenre of Christian. I exist in a subgenre of hip hop that doesn't, like, that can see more than just what's being played on the radio. So when I say the direction of hip hop, I'm thinking of multiple facets of it. And I think it's good because nowadays you don't have to just wait for the radio to play your favorite song. You know, I don't have to go to BT and pray that, you know, Rap City is going to play a video that I really want to watch. You know, matter of fact, you don't even have video shows anymore. You know what I'm saying?
I know. Yeah, I know.
Right?
I don't know why they call it MTV anymore, so there's no music.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So now what you do is there's easier access to the people that you love. So if I don't ever want to listen to Migos in my life, I don't have to. You know what I'm saying? I could just go straight to SoundCloud. I can go to Spotify. I can buy my favorite, you know, artist records. And so that's the beautiful thing. Now the bad thing is that it is oversaturated, and that's kind of hurt the industry to some degree. So you got to pick and choose. There are pros and cons, but I think there's so much diversity within hip hop that if you want what you want, if you know what you want, you can find it and you can get it.
Yeah, right. I agree with you. So what's next for Sho?
I'm gonna continue to try to tour this album, expand myself outside of just being an artist, like, you know, more of a thinker, communicator, writer. Yeah, those are some of the things that I'll be doing. Hopefully I'll continue to add more dates to this A Night with Sho. And I think I have something really creative and powerful coming up either at the end of this year or early next year that I'll probably be rolling out somewhat soon.
Will we see a Lecrae Sho collaboration?
Like as far as a record or?
Record or a song, a new record or?
Nah, doubt it very soon.
Had to shoot my shot.
Yeah, they got blocked. Apart from what we already did on the narrative. This is the thing. Like, I love Lecrae, but I just don't. When somebody's that famous, you have the issue is like you don't want to bug them. And you also don't want it to make it seem like the only time you are hitting them up is when you want something or need something. So I don't ask, like the famous friends I have, I don't ask them for anything because I don't want them to feel like I'm out to, because you already have a million people reaching out to you, trying to get something from you. And so if it was a situation where he reached out to me, you know, that'd be great. But I'm not going to be like, hey, man, let's do this EP together.
Curious minds wanted to know.
Yeah.
So we're on the final question here. how are you using your music as a weapon?
Bang, bang, bang. Reload the gun. We're going to do the same thing. So I think one of the things that I love to do is I love to use, like the Bible talks about, the word being a double-edged sword. And I think that metaphor is appropriate because the way that I see my music is a weapon that not only challenges me, but I think it challenges the thoughts on different perspectives. And so, are you seeing your tool, like for instance, a doctor cuts people, but he doesn't necessarily, or she doesn't they don't cut people just to hurt them. They cut them to heal them, right?
Right.
And so that's the type of weapon that I see my music as being. Is I'm not just out here trying to offend and hurt people, and to say incendiary things just to say them. The goal is to say these things and hopefully to bring great reconciliation with one another and to God and how we work and operate. So, that's how I like to think that I use it.
Cool, man. Well, thank you for your time. And I know you got a tight schedule here. I'm glad you took out the time for us to do this interview.
Thank you guys for having me, man. God bless you guys' work and podcast.
All right. Yes, and keep us in touch for those dates as well, especially heading up north, D.C. area, because I'm definitely going to check it out.
Absolutely.
All right. Have a good day.
All right. Y'all be good. Thank you.
All right. Peace.